We've been summoned to appear in court in less than an hour from now. Why? Because Hank is going to try and revoke your bail. Do you know what Hank is going to do to you in court? He's going to paint a portrait of you for the jury as a vengeful, cold-blooded murderer who has been covering up a horrible crime for 18 years. You played right into Hank's hands. You're going to come off as someone who would do anything to keep the truth from coming out.
I can't go back to jail, Laura. I just can't.
I'm afraid I have no choice but to agree with the district attorney. Bail is revoked. Mrs. Lord, I order you to be remanded to county jail immediately, where you will await trial for the murder of your husband, Victor Law.
I didn't know I was going to see him. They rolled the car right in front of me. I'm just starting to wonder if I haven't made a terrible mistake.
You have done the right thing, and now this autopsy will bring out the truth. At last.
This is the last time I'm going to ask you, Dorian. Do you know what the medical examiner's going to find?
It's all in that room. Yes. That awful room. With all those awful people.
Did you find anything? Anything that would incriminate Dorian?
Your father's nose had been broken. Indications are that it happened during a struggle.
Polyester fiber was found lodged in your father's throat.
We've got one more piece of evidence to convict Dorian of murder.
I think that you better get used to the idea that you may be in prison for the rest of your life. And you may have lost Cassie for good. Shut up. Shut up. Don't you ever say that to me again.
Vicky, no matter how I feel about Dorian, I am going to present the best defense I possibly can for her. You and I were friends before this case came in. I am hoping that the same would be true when the verdict's in.
A small piece of polyester filling from a Lambview Hospital pillow was lodged in Victor Lord's throat. And yes, his nose had been broken. You want a physical proof? Well, we've got it. And it supports our contention that Dorian came into Victor's room the night he died, put a pillow over his face, and smothered him.
Her bail has been revoked and she's back in county jail. It would mean so much for you to go see her.
Blair, forget it. The last thing Cassie needs to do right now is go visit her mother in prison.
Blair, Marty's right. I can't help my mother deal with her self-imposed problems right now. She's just gonna have to get through them without me. But Cassie, Fine.
What'd she say? She said that she can't deal with you right now. I'm sorry, Dorian.
The trial is scheduled to start next week. I think it's close to an airtight case against you.
That bad?
That bad.
I'm going to plead innocent.
Are you positive that that's what you want to do?
Absolutely. I'm going to get on that witness stand and I'm going to tell them that I did not smother my husband. Which, of course, is the truth.
We gotta convince the jury.
But I think the important thing now in this trial is that the truth come out.
No matter what that may be?
No matter what that may be.
Vicky Buchanan's insane lust for revenge. She has single-handedly orchestrated this frame-up. It's criminal. If anyone should be put in prison, it's her, not me.
I turned them on to all the money that you've been paying Nurse Crawford for the last 18 years, and Dorian, right now I feel terrible about that.
Vicky planted this time bomb, and it's been picking away for years. You know what galls me the most? It's not that it may be about to go off, but that there's not a damn thing that I can do to stop it. I'm scared to death.
Vicky, I really hope that you realize what I'm going to have to do tomorrow.
Nora, please, will you relax about this? Okay, we've been over this. I know what you have to do as a good defense attorney, all right? We'll be okay.
Is your mother, Cassie, and she needs you. You know your own little baby that died, and all the love that you felt for that baby. Just think how much love your mother feels for you, Cassie. Cassie, just for today, that's all. Just for today.
Well, I hope you like Statesville Prison because you're asking for a one-way ticket if you walk into court dressed like that. Now, we've discussed your wardrobe. We have discussed your conduct. We have discussed every little detail. And I will not have you forgetting my preparation because of your desire to flaunt your indifference to what people think of you.
No.
No.
No. Oh, no. You want to look like the Dragon Lady of Llanview?
Why should I beg them to give me a break? Besides, they don't hate me because I have money. They hate me because I love having money. I don't try to pretend that I'm one of them, like the ever-modest Vicky Buchanan. I have it. I earned it. And I flaunt it. No apologies.
I was asking for you to apologize for who you are. But you didn't get to be who you are, Miss Dorian Lord, by acting stupid.
And I didn't get there by begging on my hands and knees in some tasteful little outfit for a pat on the head from the little people. No. They made their choice a long time ago. And they chose Vicky. Fine. They can have her. When I walk in that courtroom this afternoon, I am going to be my own woman, and I'm going to do things my own way.
No, you won't. Not if you expect me to walk in there with you. You do things your own way, Dorian Lord, and you do them alone. When you hire me to defend you, you do things my way. Otherwise, you get your own lawyer.
Nora, as my lawyer, I want your legal mind, not your fashion sense or your opinion of courtroom manners.
Honey, if I say your pinky curls when you sip tea, your pinky gets curled. You'll not dress up as some floozy bimbette from a Las Vegas cocktail lounge. You will not smile with contempt at the judge and the jury. You will sit there like a nun while I do all the talking and all the thinking. Otherwise, I'm out of here.
You're bluffing.
Try me. When I walk into court, I go in there to win. If I have a self-destructive client, why should I bother?
Nora, do you really think that there's a possibility, even the remotest chance that I could be acquitted?
I can count on one hand the number of times I've lost a case. I don't plan on adding another finger. Come on, Ryan. Go change your clothes and put on your game face, okay? We've only just begun to fight.
was until I came to the door, yes.
You still worried about Todd? We can go back to Lynn.
No, I'm quite sure that everyone at home is safe. No, it's being here in this place at this time, after all the years of waiting and wondering.
You made it possible.
Yes, I guess I did. I felt I owed it to my father. At least that's what kept me driving through this all the time, even when I wanted to stop. It's just now that the trial is about to start.
Well, there you are. Sloan, I was beginning to wonder if you're going to make it. Everything's okay? No more sign of Todd at Landfair?
No. Actually, I wasn't thinking about Todd Manning right now. I was...
Look at Vicky. She's absolutely quivering with excitement. This is obviously the highlight of her life.
Dorian, don't lose focus, all right? It's not Vicky Buchanan who's prosecuting you. It's Hank.
Oh, please. Don't be naive, Laura. Your ex-hubby is a marionette. And Vicky's the one who's pulling the strings.
If that's what you really think, you're underestimating my ex. He's his own man. And he will do everything he possibly can to win this case. So we better be prepared.
Look at her. After all these years, she is still unrepentant and defiant.
Listen, Vicky, I would like to think that this is bigger than some personal feud between you and Dorian.
Well, of course it is, Hank. It's about justice, isn't it?
Yes, of course it is. But look, I'm not naive. This confrontation between us has been coming for a very long time, and I'm not even sure that I can separate the personal from the legal.
All right, then you leave it to me. Because from where I'm standing, Dorian looks like a woman who knows she's already lost.
Dorian, you're not paying attention. If you want to win this case...
Please. Nora, I don't need a pep talk from you. I know what my chances are.
Hey, you face bigger odds than these.
Yes, but then things were different. I had somebody who believed in me, someone who... Oh, Cassie! Cassie!
All rise. Oyez. The Court of Common Pleas for the City of Llanview, Lantana County, is now hearing evidence and testimony in the matter of the Commonwealth versus Dorian Lord. The Honorable Douglas Hawthorne presiding. Oyez. The Court of Common Pleas for the City of Llanview, Lantana County, is now hearing evidence and testimony in the matter of the Commonwealth versus Dorian Lord. The Honorable Douglas Hawthorne presiding.
Oh my God, Mother.
No, Cassie, she's all right. Let Nora take care of her. She's just having an anxiety attack.
Guard,
She's gonna be
please,
all
will you
right.
just get some water? That carafe is empty. Dorian, if you're pulling one of your stunts, so
It's
help
not
me.
a stunt, Nora. I'm having trouble breathing.
Okay, all right. Just get a grip and get one fast. Hawthorne is definitely not amused.
Well, neither am I.
Ms. Gannon, is your client going to need a doctor?
I don't think so, Your Honor.
How about a straitjacket?
No, Your Honor.
Because my patience is limited.
Yes, it's very clear, Your Honor.
Mrs. Lord, if this persists, I can have you removed to a holding cell where you can watch the entire proceedings on a closed-circuit television.
No, Your Honor. Please, I cannot be locked up alone anymore. I'm fine.
Okay. Your Honor, I think my client is recovering.
Oh, well, that's good, because I will not tolerate any further interruptions.
We're all well aware of that.
What's going on?
Oh, Dorian is demonstrating her theatrical abilities.
I don't think so.
What happened?
She had one of her panic attacks.
Or staged one.
No, I've seen them. I think this was real. Well, why not? She certainly has enough to be panicked about.
Is the defendant certain she can continue?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Gannon, the court is ready to hear your opening arguments.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, this case has the usual elements of a murder trial. Greed, violence, lies of commission, and lies of omission. And one other factor, betrayal. Betrayal of trust. Betrayal of those closest to us. Dorian Lord exploited the trust of Victor Lord. The trust of a spouse to love and honor a wife or a husband. Now, this was as cold and calculated and premeditated a murder as there ever was. Dorian Lord saw what she wanted, and she took it. Victor Lord's fortune, a fortune he had amassed over years, a lifetime of hard, honest work. The Commonwealth will show during the course of this trial, through compelling testimony and irrefutable physical evidence, that Dorian Lord did take Victor Lord's life on the night of June 16th, 1976. With clear malice aforethought, she walked into her ailing husband's hospital room with one purpose, and one purpose only, in mind: to end his life. Victor Lord wasn't a young man. He wasn't well. He might have died quietly and peacefully, naturally, at any time. Or he could have lived for years. But Dorian Lord took matters into her own hands, using a pillow while he lay in his hospital bed. She knowingly, willingly, brutally smothered Victor Lord to death. 18 years ago. Justice delayed, we often hear, is justice denied. We have a chance here, ladies and gentlemen, to fulfill justice by hearing the evidence and testimony to come, and by finding Dorian Lord guilty of murder in the first degree.
Thank you, Mr. Gannon. We are ready to hear the opening statement by the defense now. Are you ready, Ms. Gannon?
Yes, Your Honor.
Nora,
Excuse me just a minute, Your Honor. What?
my life is in your hands. Be brilliant.
I'm not in the habit of asking twice, Ms. Gannon.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I was just...
No explanations. Proceed.
Ladies and gentlemen, the district attorney intends to prove, so he says, somehow, that Dorian Lord, 18 years ago, murdered her husband. But I'm here to tell you that he won't prove it. Why? Because he can't. Plain and simple. It just isn't true. But I can tell you why, after all this time, we're sitting here in judgment on Dorian Lord. That's plain and simple, too. Because her enemies have decided it's time to get this woman. You see, Dorian Lord is not a popular woman. She's isolated from her family, so they're going to move in for the kill. Well, I will not stand by while an innocent woman is condemned and convicted by rumors and lies. This woman, my client, is innocent until proven guilty. You remember that, ladies and gentlemen. Proven guilty. Why, after all this time, should they bring such extraordinary charges against Dorian Lord? I'll show you the reason. This book, The Lord of the Banner, The Life of Victor Lord, this book stirred up all kinds of old rumors, long dead, long forgotten. Publicity, mudslinging, backbiting, tabloid publicity. Gossip is good as gold, folks. Gossip is gold. Innocent, guilty, who cares as long as there's lots of tears and juicy pictures, right? Well, this is a court of law, not tabloid journalism. And we do care about such things as truth, fairness, and justice. I want you to think about something. 18 years ago, when the facts were very clear in everyone's mind, not one person, not the district attorney, not the police, not one doctor, not one nurse, and certainly no witnesses, I mean no one, thought a crime had been committed. And now, suddenly, after 18 years, Dorian Lord is charged with murder. She did it for the money. And why now? Because a book has filled the air with old rumors and old stories. And we all know how time can play tricks on people's memories. So a case built entirely on circumstantial evidence was concocted and brought against my client. And here we are. Well, there's no denying that Dorian Lord inherited a great deal of money. She was Victor Lord's wife. But that doesn't make her a murderer. My great Aunt Natalie had the most beautiful silver tea service that she left me. And I said to her once, Aunt Natty, I'd kill for that silver. But I didn't kill her. And all of the bestsellers, and all of the opinion polls, and all of the politics, and all of the hoopla cannot take the place of a fair-minded jury. That's who you are. You decide. That's your job. To see that justice is done. Justice. The kind you would expect for yourselves. So be honest. Be wise. And most of all, be fair. And if you're fair, I'm sure you'll find Dorian Lord to be innocent. Thank you.
Victor Lord's nose was broken, and there were polyester fibers lodged in his throat.
Fibers from?
In my opinion?
Yes.
The most likely source was a pillow.
A pillow pressed over the nose, would you say? A pillow pressed with such force that a nose could be broken.
A likely scenario, yes.
Likely is one thing, but proof, Doctor, that's something else. You weren't there in the room, were you?
When? When Mr. Lord died? Mm-hmm. Of course not.
Well, is it possible, I know you like to conjecture, okay. Could Victor Lord's nose have been broken, say, after he died, you know, by one of the morgue personnel or by the funeral parlor?
It's unlikely, but I suppose.
But suffocation, deliberate suffocation, is not the only possibility, is it?
No.
No. Pillow fibers could be lodged in a person's throat by simply coughing or inhaling. I know it's happened to me. I sleep face down.
These fibers were lodged...
Pillow fibers can be lodged in the throat of a person who turns in his sleep and breathes in deeply.
Yes. Yes, it could happen that way.
I thought so. It could happen. Thank you. Let's make sure that we're all perfectly clear here. All right. A corpse was exhumed. You examined this corpse as the doctor, an expert in your field. Hmm? Column A. Proof. Column B, theories that may or may not be true based on the proof. Well, in this court, we have no room for theories, right? So, with that understood, Dr. Lowe, can you prove that Victor Lord, beyond any doubt, was murdered by suffocation based on the proof of this autopsy? Yes or no? Yes or no?
No, but...
Thank you. No proof. That's all for this witness. Well, Dr. Blake, this particular case was your last, I believe.
That's correct. After 35 years as a Lantano County coroner.
35 years of work like this sloppy report, and you weren't discharged?
I'm sorry?
By your own admission, Dr. Blake, your work on the Victor Lord autopsy was careless, incomplete, and inaccurate.
Wait just 1 minute.
And you were called into the district attorney's office for a reprimand. I'm sorry, an interview. Looking for more information, right?
That's right, and I had what he needed.
Your personal notes, yes. A few facts scattered piecemeal among anecdotes. Let me see here. Victor Lord, the day of the Victor Lord autopsy, yes. Lunch, hard-boiled eggs. I find it hard to concentrate. I keep thinking of Mary.
Mary's my wife.
Mary was your wife.
What?
Dr. Blank, your original report on Victor Lord's autopsy suffered because you were suffering, weren't you? Your wife, Mary, had just died. You were faced with retirement, alone. Everybody understands, Dr. Blake. And if your stage at the time made your lack of attention to detail a perfectly human thing, you know? And if now your memory of almost 20 years ago concerning a very painful time in your life...
What are you saying? I know what I'm saying. I know what I wrote, and I know what I saw. I don't see what my wife has to do with this. Why is she bringing this up?
Yes, I agree. That's enough, counsel.
My apologies, Dr. Blake. Why don't we move on to some facts that you're clearer about, shall we? We'll talk about something that you do know, Dr. Blake. Why don't you tell us about Victor Lord's history, medically speaking?
Mr. Lord was a man in his 70s. A couple of strokes, preceded by at least one heart attack. Liver... something.
Cirrhosis?
Yes. Drank like a fish, I'll bet. Sorry. Conjecture.
That's all right, Dr. Blake. Was there anything else about Victor Lord's health that you discovered at that time?
I'm not sure I remember.
Really? You made a note of it in the autopsy report. You were very specific, in fact. Okay.
Well, that doesn't pertain, does it? That didn't kill him.
Didn't help either, did it, Doctor? I mean, these are the signs of a man in control or in very good health. This is a very advanced case.
I know, but the syphilis
The
was...
what?
Syphilis. Syphilis. It was inactive. You know, non-communicable. He'd had it for years.
Had he really?
Oh, my God.
Give me an adjective, Dr. Blake. In what condition was Victor Lord's body when he died? I mean, we're not talking about a peak physical specimen here, are we?
Believe me.
All right, well, then what was the state of the body, would you say? Adequate? Laudable?
Wretched.
That's a very strong word.
You asked.
Yes, I certainly did.
Hang on.
Yes, I am.
She's almost through.
Yes.
Almost.
Wretched. So wretched, in fact, there was no need for foul play other than the foul play he brought on himself, was there? I mean, the man could have easily died that night from a number of factors, all brought on himself, by himself, through a life of excess, neglect, and abuse. His whole system was compromised. Isn't that true?
Well...
Is that true, yes or no?
Yes.
So Victor Lord could easily have died from...
I already answered this question. The man had a Well, an unfortunate list of very bad habits.
Thank you. I have no further questions at this time.
You may step down, Doctor.
Nora, thank you.
You've got to stop thanking me.
Oh, I have to. You were wonderful.
I know. Thank you.
Your Honor, the prosecution calls Victoria Lord Buchanan.
Victoria Lord Buchanan, take the stand.
Here's your chance.
Come on, Ron, go get him.
I will do my best.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, so help me God.
Please be seated.
Would you please state your name for the record?
Victoria Lord Buchanan.
Would you tell the court your relationship to Victor Lord, please?
Victor Lord was my father.
Thank you, Mrs. Buchanan. Could you please tell the court where you were on the night of March 21st this year at 6:30 p.m.? Mrs. Buchanan.
I went to my father's mausoleum.
Mrs. Buchanan, when you arrived at the mausoleum, were you the only one there?
No, I was not. I found Dorian Lord there.
Mrs. Buchanan, could you please tell the court what you saw?
She was trying to open the sarcophagus. She was breaking in, trying to get to the body. She had already pried the lid off, and she was breaking in. I stopped her. I stopped you.
I will have order, or I will clear this court. Ms. Gannon, your objection is sustained.
Thank you.
The witness will refrain from characterizing events in any way, nor will she ever again address the defendant.
I'm very sorry, Your Honor.
Proceed, Mr. Gannon.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mrs. Buchanan, some weeks back, you were made aware that we received information that there was a possible struggle during Father's death that might have caused a broken nose. Is that correct?
Yes. That's why the body was going to be exhumed and a second autopsy done.
Now, let's get back to the night in question. When you arrived at your father's crypt and you found Dorian Lord already there and the sarcophagus was partly open, did you notice anything else?
Yes. There was a black bag that contained a large wrench and a can of caustic lye that Dorian had brought with her.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness has no way of knowing that the defendant brought those objects there.
Sustained.
There was a wrench and a can of lye there, and Dorian Lord was there.
Yes.
Your Honor, as per previous stipulation with defense counsel, at this time, the people would like to introduce literature from the Manufacturers Association that explains that caustic lye is extremely dangerous when applied to organic materials. Mrs. Buchanan, when you arrived at your father's crypt and you found Dorian Lord there with a can of lye, you assumed that she was there to pour the lye on your father's body to destroy the evidence.
Oh,
so there would not be a second autopsy, so there could not be a trial.
Utterly irrelevant. Motion to strike. Objection, objection, objection.
Order. I will have order in the court. This is a court of law, not a circus. Sit down, Miss Gannon.
Your Honor, I object
said
that...
sit down. Your objection is sustained and the question is stricken from the record.
Thank you.
Mr. Gannon, let's proceed and get it right this time.
I do apologize, Your Honor. I was upset.
Oh, yeah, right.
Mrs. Buchanan, when you arrived
at your father's crypt and you found Dorian Lord there with the can of lye. In your own opinion, why was she there?
I have no doubt that she was going to pour the lye over my father's skull so she could destroy all traces of the broken nose.
This argument. I mean, didn't we just settle this?
As the only other person in the mausoleum at the time, Mrs. Buchanan's opinion of what was going on is perfectly admissible, providing it is clearly stated as such, overruled.
Mrs. Buchanan, I'd like to move back in time, if I may. How did your father meet and become friends with Dorian Lord?
In 1975, my father had a heart attack, very near where Dorian lived at the time, and she found him. She was a doctor, so she treated him. And then they began to see each other, and they were married very shortly thereafter, and she moved into Landfair with him.
Now, your father was an extremely wealthy man. Is that correct?
Yes.
So this marriage made Dorian Lord a wealthy woman. And your father's will named her as a major beneficiary in the event of his death, correct?
Yes, we both inherited money from him.
But if there'd been another child, it would have been divided even further, wouldn't it?
There was another child. My father knew that he had an illegitimate son, a boy he'd fathered during the war, but unfortunately he had never seen him.
But Mrs. Buchanan, your father actively tried to locate his son,
Yes.
didn't he?
Yes, he did.
But it was Dorian Lord who actually located him.
Yes, she found Tony.
Did she tell Victor Lord that she had located his son?
No, she did not. She never said one word. She kept it a very, very big secret. In fact, she did everything in her power to make sure that Father and Tony stayed separated. Of course, eventually, and despite her best efforts, they did meet. But because of circumstances, they had very serious disagreements. And unfortunately, were not able to reconcile them before he had a stroke. And then he went into a coma. I'm sorry.
Mrs. Buchanan, Mrs. Buchanan, if you're not feeling well, I know this is not easy for you. We can take a break.
No, please. Please continue. I do not want to delay this trial, not even for 1 minute.
While your father was at his estate, Landfair, recovering, Nurse Crawford was hired. Is that correct?
Yes, she was. But Dorian made it very clear that Nurse Crawford answered to her and to her alone.
Did you spend much time with your father when he was recuperating?
Yeah. Dorian didn't allow anyone in to see him.
Why?
His condition was too fragile, she said.
Too fragile even for his own daughter to visit?
Or his son. And as a result, they were never reconciled.
Mrs. Buchanan, at that time your father wasn't able to speak. Is this correct?
That is correct. He was not able to speak. He was not able to tell anyone what he wanted. So Dorian went ahead and made all the decisions for him.
But what if he wanted to reconcile with his son? What if he'd wanted to change his will?
Oh, objection.
Sustained. Avoid speculation, Mr. Gannon.
Mr. Buchanan, there was a time when you were able to get into your father's room to visit, wasn't there?
I saw him, but he was very weak.
And did he say anything to you at all?
Mm-hmm. He whispered one word to me. He said, lawyer.
Lawyer? And what did you take that to mean?
Well, I assumed that he wanted to see his lawyer, so I went and got him. And by the time we got back, though, he wasn't able to speak at all, and then Dorian came in and demanded that the lawyer leave.
And in less than an hour of this encounter, your father had suffered a second stroke, didn't he, Mrs. Buchanan?
Yes, he did. And then he went into a coma again, and then he was taken to Landview Hospital.
Were you able to visit him while he was in the hospital?
Just once.
And did he say anything to you at this time?
Mm-hmm. Again, he said one word. He said, Dorian. course, I now realize what he was so desperately trying to tell me, that she had tried to kill him and was probably going to try it again.
Order in the court. Order. Objection is sustained. Mrs. Buchanan, try not to give what you think are other people's opinions. Just speak to the facts, and only when asked. Proceed, Mr. Gannon.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions. Your witness?
Oh, Mrs. Buchanan, I'm afraid I have a lot of questions for you because your testimony has raised what I call serious inconsistencies. Mrs. Buchanan, a few minutes ago you told this court that you now knew when your father uttered that one word, Dorian, that he was trying to tell you that Dorian was trying to kill him.
In my opinion, yes.
Well, laying aside the fact that you'd have to be a mind reader to know that, I would like you to tell the court what it was you thought he meant at that time. Mrs. Buchanan, when your father said Dorian, what was it that you thought he meant?
Well, at the time, I thought that he wanted me to befriend her.
I see.
But that was because our butler, Chapin, had just previously brought me a letter from my father in which he had asked me to reach out to his wife. Of course, the letter was written before he had the stroke.
Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Buchanan. Please, just answer the questions. Don't volunteer, all right? So, indeed, you did reach out to your stepmother until what? Until you had a quarrel, a spat?
No. My brother Tony came to me and told me that he thought Dorian had murdered Father.
He did? Tony said that? My goodness, Mrs. Buchanan. Oh, and at that time, what did you think? Mrs. Buchanan.
I didn't believe him.
My. So 18 years ago, you did not believe that Dorian Lord had murdered her husband?
No, because I could not conceive of anyone being that cruel or that evil.
Why don't we talk about this half-brother of yours, Tony, the one who made the horrible accusation that you didn't believe? He was very bitter, wasn't he?
Bitter? No. He simply
stated that
he...
Because if he had been declared as Victor Lord's son, he would have stood to inherit a great deal of money, wouldn't he?
Objection, speculative.
She speculated on it during direct. She can speculate it on it during cross.
Miss Gannon, when I need your help, I'll ask for it. Overruled.
Thank you. Oh, what the heck. Let's forget Tony's inheritance, since he obviously had to. Let's talk about your inheritance, Mrs. Buchanan. You inherited a major share of your father's estate, didn't you?
Yes.
And Dorian Lord received a large portion, as well as the right to live in your father's estate, now known as Landfair.
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute. You live at Landfair, don't you?
Yes.
And how did you come to live there?
Well, Dorian gave up her right.
She gave up her right, or you took her right from her? I mean, as a matter of fact, there was one heck of a battle over Landfair, wasn't there? You went in with your guns blazing, you kicked her out and made sure she stayed there, didn't you, Mrs. Buchanan?
No, my father's will very, very specifically stated that...
I know, we all understand, Mrs. Buchanan, it's okay. You won. You felt you deserved it, and you got it, because you're your father's daughter and you've always gotten what you want, haven't you?
No, of course not.
He loved you more than he loved your stepmother. You knew that in your heart, and so you fought her for your rights. And from that battle over Landfair until this very day, you and Dorian Lord have been arch Rivals, haven't you? Because you never, ever have forgiven her for taking your daddy away from you, or his love, or a lot of his money, I may add.
Objection.
Withdrawn. Your hatred of Dorian Lord borders on the pathological, doesn't it, Mrs.
No,
Buchanan?
it does
It has
not.
colored your judgment so much, and you want to see her punished so badly, you're almost willing to do anything, aren't you?
Objection.
Withdrawn. Oh, I'm sure you're also aware of the inheritance laws in Pennsylvania, that a person convicted of murder cannot inherit any money from the murder victim, which means, therefore, if this jury finds Dorian guilty, her share of your father's estate goes to you.
Objection. No. Objection.
Then will you be satisfied? Then will you have hurt Dorian Lord enough?
Order. There will be order in this court. The objection is sustained. Miss Gannon, if you wish to accuse by innuendo, you will do it in someone else's court, not mine. Just stick to the facts.
Facts? After 18 years of unrelenting hatred and rivalry, and yes, greed, it's sometimes a little hard to distinguish the facts from fiction.
Have you finished with this witness?
No, I have not by a long shot.
Order. I will have order in this court.
So therefore, it's only your opinion that Dorian Lord didn't love your father. And it was only your opinion that she wasn't in the mausoleum that night to visit one last time with your father before he was taken out of the crypt. And it is only your opinion that she was there to destroy the body.
Yes.
Well, your opinion does count for something, I will admit that. I mean, after all, the district attorney started jumping through hoops the minute you told him it was your opinion that Dorian Lord should be indicted.
Objection.
Oh, that's all right. Withdrawn. No further questions at this time.
Any redirect at this time, Mr. Gannon?
No, Your Honor.
Very well. It's getting late. This jury is advised not to discuss this case with anyone, and by that, I mean anyone. This court stands adjourned until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
All rise.
Nora, you were terrific. Really. I mean, you showed everybody what Vicky really is.
Dorian, stop it.
Why?
One witness does not make a trial, all right? Don't get your hopes up. I'll talk to you later.
Just tell Cassie that I love her.
You okay, Mom?
No, I'm actually not okay.
Let's just walk this way and try to get through this crowd.
What? You really twisted the knife.
Sometimes I hate myself.
Hey, it's what you had to do.
Vicky's gonna hate me forever.
We get some comment. Any sort of comment.
Gentlemen, please not now. Please, not now.
I'll go get the car. Yeah, bring it around the side. They'll be out the front there, the whole press corps.
All right, give me 5 minutes.
Yes. Darling, you'll feel better when I get you home, I promise.
Will I?
Yes.
Vicky? I'm sorry. I know I was brutal and that I was very hard. I don't always expect it to be as bad as it ends up being, and I'm sorry. Will you forgive me?
I'm quite sure you feel you did what you had to do.
Nora, what is going on?
I know it's late for visiting, but I needed to talk to you about something.
What?
I just got a day postponement in this.
No, absolutely not. Nora, you listen to me. I don't want this trial going on 1 second longer than it has to, and I don't want to stay in this hellhole 1 day longer. Now,
even if that day is spent following up the best break yet?
Break? In my case? And how did this miraculous break happen to fall into your lap?
Well, let's not get carried away. There's very little that happens in criminal law that I would ever call miraculous, not by any stretch of the imagination.
What is it?
I got a phone call. Do you mind if I talk to my client alone for a minute?
I really shouldn't.
Gladys, please. Just... Thank you.
So, who is this person who called you?
A guy.
What guy?
Well, that's just it. I don't know who he is. He didn't identify himself.
Well, what did he say?
He told me that I should go to Oregon and meet with a man named Chapin. Do you know him?
Mm-hmm.
He was Victor Lord's butler at the time of Victor's death. I'm sorry, Dorian. I'm having a very hard time sort of interpreting what this reaction is here. Is this news good, bad, or indifferent to you?
I have no idea.
Does this man Chapin know anything at all about Victor's death?
I have no idea.
Was he around the night that Victor died?
You mean in the hospital? I wouldn't think so, but... Hey, he was the butler. He should have been at Landfair, but I don't know.
Who in the world would have called me with this information? I mean, who is this mystery man?
I don't know. Really? Nora, I'm telling you, I've got no idea.
Dorian, I swear, if this is one of your little screwy pranks to help out your case...
Wait a minute, hold it right there. Why would I have any need to do something like that when I've got a lawyer like you? Really? You did a great job dethroning Queen Victoria today in the courtroom. I'm sure we've got the prosecution running for cover.
Dorian, this is only the beginning. I mean, the whole case, we don't even know which way the case would go once Ethel Crawford takes this stand. Which is exactly why I need to know more about this Chapin person. Now, what exactly was your relationship with this man?
I did get the distinct impression that he wasn't one of my most ardent admirers.
At the time, was he more in Vicky's camp than yours?
Yes. Yes, that's it.
What?
How do we know that this isn't a trap that Vicky laid in our path?
Well, to be frank, we don't, but we still have to check this out.
It is really so strange.
Yes, well, I don't like playing cat and mouse with Mr. X any more than you do, but that doesn't mean he won't end up helping us, helping our case. And to be perfectly honest, Dorian, our case needs all the help it can get.
I really wish that you wouldn't say things like that.
Fine. I'll just say goodbye.
Where are you going?
Oregon.
Tonight?
Tonight.
Who is this man? And why would he call Nora?
I'd like an appointment with Nora Gannon first thing tomorrow morning. This can't wait. Out of town, I see. No, thank you. I'll call back then. Great. She's on her way.
You know how shaky Cassie is. I mean, after William's death, the fertility issue, this trial, and Dorian, the way that you have been begging her to constantly support you, this is too much for her. This is more than she can handle.
She came to court. She was there for me.
Yes, and she was extremely upset. I know, I was there. And this afternoon, this telephone call, she completely went to pieces, Dorian. She is begging you to stay away from her.
I think it was a little less dramatic than that.
Dorian, look. I know what happened. I was there. I heard the whole thing. She told you that she had to stay away from you during this trial. She had to do that for her own sanity, but she is not able to do that. She will never do that.
Why not?
She loves you. And she would sooner risk another breakdown than not support you, and that is what I'm worried about, another breakdown.
Cassie is strong, and most of all, she's a survivor, like her mother.
She is a survivor, that is true. Why should she be made to survive yet another horror? The trial is tearing her apart, and not just her, it's tearing apart our marriage. And me, and my father, and Bo, and Nora, and Vicky.
Oh, please. Oh, you were in shaky ground when you mentioned your father to me, but then you dare to mention Vicky to me? Spare me your hand-wringing about Vicky. Vicky. She is the one who has created this entire nightmare.
Okay. It doesn't matter who starts a nightmare. It only matters that it ends. Dorian, you can end this in an instant. Stop the trial.
What?
Search your soul. Search your soul, Dorian. Please, if you love Cassie as much as you say you do, if you in fact committed this crime, change the plea to guilty.
I mean, why should I plead guilty when I'm not? Cassie doesn't think that I'm guilty, does she?
This isn't about what Cassie
Andrew, please.
thinks. It's about the
She
truth.
can't believe that I am guilty. The truth is that I'm innocent. Please, Andrew, you've got to help me convince Cassie that I'm innocent.
Help? How am I going to do that? By the same way you convince yourself that you're innocent?
Well, you sound as if I've already been convicted.
If you committed the crime, the truth will come out.
I welcome that time. I really do, because when it comes, I'm going to walk out of here a free woman.
Admitting a truth, admitting a fault, a sin, especially when one that you have kept in as long as this, that is liberating. That can give you a whole new life, Dorian.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you come here to save my soul?
Well, I can't do that. You can do that. What I can do is I can make sure that Cassie doesn't have to suffer any more than she already has.
Andrew, there are two things that are never going to happen. All right? I am not going to confess to a murder, and I am not going to be convicted of one. I'm so sorry, but your saintly parishioner, Victoria Lord Buchanan, is never going to have her moment of triumph over me.
Is that what this is about? Is that what... Look, listen to me. Listen to me. I am begging you. I am begging you. If you committed this crime and love Cassie as much as you say you do, confess it now. Please.
Andrew, the truth will out. New information has surfaced. Information that is going to open these doors for me.
What are we talking? Is it information as in evidence?
Why
What?
do you think that the trial has been stopped for a while? So that Nora could go out of town and collect this good news. That's what she's doing right now. There is no need for me to confess, because this is all going to work out. I'm going to be set free. Nora, thank goodness I was on pins and needles all night.
Well, court's about to resume. Come on, Dorian. Let's
No. First, you have to tell me what happened when you talked to Chapin. If anybody can get me an acquittal, it's Victor's old butler. So what did he say?
I don't know how she's going to walk out, but she sure looks confident walking in.
Yeah, well, she could be bluffing.
Or she could be holding all the aces.
No comment. No comment.
You heard my lawyer. Excuse me, Dorian. I just want you to know you're not going to be alone today. Thank you, Brad.
Oyez, oyez, the Court of Common Pleas for the City of Llanview, Lantano County, is now hearing evidence and testimony in the matter of the Commonwealth versus Dorian Lord. The Honorable Judge Hawthorne presiding.
Court will come to order. Be seated. Mr. Gannon, are you ready with your next witness?
Yes. We are ready, Your Honor. The Commonwealth calls Ethel Crawford to the stand.
Ethel Crawford.
I would like for you to turn your thoughts back to that fateful night. Now it's 9:00 p.m. Do you remember where you were?
I'll never forget. I was in Mr. Lord's hospital room checking his vital signs.
And what was his condition at the time?
Well, he tended to slip in and out of consciousness, but he was breathing normally. His vital signs had stabilized.
Miss Crawford, once you had checked your patient, did you leave the room?
Well, yes and no.
Could you please elaborate?
You see, Mr. Lord had a large private room, almost like a suite. I stepped into his bathroom for a moment, and that's when...
Yes, please, go on.
That's when I heard the door to the hallway open.
So, in other words, while you were in Victor Lord's bathroom, you heard the outer door to his room open.
Yes.
Did you hear anyone enter?
I heard footsteps. Soft, careful, deliberate.
Objection, Your Honor. Footsteps can be soft or hard, but can they be deliberate unless she's a foot psychic?
Sustained.
Miss Crawford, when you heard these soft footsteps, what did you do?
I opened the door a crack, and I peeked out into the room.
And what did you see?
I saw a woman standing over Mr. Lord's bed, and she had a pillow in her hand, and she was pressing it down on Mr. Lord's face.
There you were, trapped in Victor Lord's bathroom, watching a woman press a pillow over his face. Why didn't you scream?
Well, you've got to understand. It was all happening so fast. It was like I was caught in some horrible nightmare. I was stunned. I was terrified. I watched her force that pillow over Mr. Lord's nose and his mouth. And I watched her press down and hold it there with all her strength as he struggled.
And he was fighting for his life?
Well, he tried, but he was so weak from the stroke. And the more that he struggled, the harder she pushed that pillow down. God, it seemed to take forever, but it was just a few seconds, really. And then Mr. Lord's body stopped moving. And she pulled the pillow away, and she walked out of the room. And then I came out, and I ran over to the bed, and I took his pulse, but it was too late. It was too late.
Nurse Crawford, this woman you saw smothering Victor Lord, was she aware that you were watching, witnessing this murder?
Oh, no, sir. I was too scared to say a word. I wish I had been braver. I wish I'd made my presence known and stopped her, but I was so afraid.
Yes, well, I think we can all understand your fear. Any one of us could have reacted the same way under such terrifying circumstances. But Miss Crawford, I want to ask you one last question about that night. Was the woman you saw in Victor Lord's room holding the pillow in her hand, pressing it over his face, pressing that last breath out of his body. Is she in this courtroom today?
Yes, sir. She is.
Can you identify her?
She's sitting right there. His widow, Dorian Lord.